Yeah. OnChain revolution, you're not bullish enough. OnChain revolution, you're not bullish enough. Every day we steady looking at the market, and we gon' tell you how to get started. Chain abstraction, fear and greed index, always looking at price action. Broke on advance, you don't even gotta mention. I swap it in the decks, you're not bullish enough. Traded in the segs, you ain't trenching enough. We do that market recon. Too much Bitcoin, gotta go to rehab. Shizzy and Yagobi. OnChain revolution, network in the art. Every day we go live, baby, you know where we are. We mention all the networks and the crypto. Need some more liquidity, flipping and trading is the recipe. Too many protocols to count. I get high and I'm never coming down. Number go up, then I'ma say peace. Yeah, you thought that I was gonna leave. Yeah, we just getting started, man. OnChain revolution. Every day. Bring the beat back. Eyes everywhere, gotta be careful with volatile meme coins. You can get some bread if you round trip it, then you gon' regret. All this information in my head. EYOR, touch grass instead. Nobody really knows how it's gon' end up today. Somebody gotta tell you what's happening today. I don't let the money change me, no way. OnChain revolution, here to stay. Yeah, say I'm sage, man. Voodoo 2 on the way. Yeah. Nicky's. Yeah. OnChain revolution. OnChain. Hey, OnChain revolution. Bitcoin not an illusion. Market recap, then I do a roll call. You're not bullish in the vocal. Look at the price action, change. Yeah, send it to the deck. Sell it through the stack. Order knows the best. Too much Bitcoin, gotta go to read. If you end up bearish, gotta put the knee pad. Let me see the comments. Look at the fear and greed index. Bridge. Look at the chart.
Welcome back to OnChain Revolution. My name is Shizzy. On this channel, we cover the entire crypto ecosystem. What is up, guys? We're an amazing show for you guys today. We're live from the OnChain Hour, and it's going to be insanity because Bitcoin is finally moving in a direction that we all knew it was. Bitcoin is finally doing the things that we thought it was going to do this whole time. Yes, we have to be patient. Yes, it has to be done in Q4, right? So we are about a day and a half away from Q4, and it is kind of expecting. I'll give Yagobi credit. He was the one who was saying Q4. I'm more in the range of I still think Q1 will be the highlight of this cycle. But what only time will tell. Only time will tell, right? I'm a little bit underexposed today because I am not home in my normal setup because the internet was down. But we don't stop here. We find a way. Had to go travel to my mom's house, got the internet going. So if you do see my screen a little bit messy, this is why. I'm just not at my normal studio. But we'll be back. Hopefully by 3 p.m. my internet's back up because it sucks, guys. I don't know if you guys realize this, but enough of that, though. The market's looking really good, and there's a lot of stuff to talk about right now. NickSzabo is back tweeting again. If you don't know, he's one of the 3 people I believe is Satoshi Nakamoto, along with Adam Back and Hal Finney. And he was, his writing is very, very similar to the white paper's written. It's almost identical to how the white paper is written. So I don't know if that was done on purpose by Satoshi or it was actually NickSzabo, but he does not want, this limit to be kind of push back a little bit. We're gonna get into that as well. Some Bitcoin news in there, but without further ado, let's get the show started. Bringing my partner here, as always, Mr. Yagobi. What's up, buddy?
What's up? What's up,
man? How you doing today? How was your weekend? How's everything?
Yeah, weekend was good. Just continually watching football on the weekend. I'm glad that fall is here, but more importantly, I'm glad that we're about to start officially Q4 on Wednesday, which will be October 1st, right? And so maybe we're getting a little bit ahead of it, and it seems like Bitcoin's looking strong, Ethereum's looking strong. I really hope that the price action does follow these indicators a little bit more because they haven't been following them on many time frames either, like even the larger ones. But this morning definitely feels like there's an energy, kind of burst of energy that's come into the markets. You look at the crypto bubbles too. So it was weird last week, maybe the last 2 weeks. Some of these altcoins, it was kind of hit or miss. Like half of them were doing well, half of of them weren't, and then you have a green day, then you have red, and then Bitcoin and Ethereum just started to bleed at the end of last week. So it definitely felt like, okay, let's kind of close September out and kind of September fashion, right? And be more of a red month, but we might have some green to finish the last couple days, right? And then I am excited about October. I think October is the month where we do get that energy to, really get things started for Q4. So we'll see. I'm excited for this week.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, we got Bitcoin back above 114, ETH back above 4,200, XRP right below $3. So it felt like we were in a bear market the last 3 weeks. It really did, especially with people not being really here, not being on Twitter, barely any tweets at all. But now you're kind of seeing a resurgence in price, and it's just funny. Like I say that, but like I'm looking at the price, I'm like, we're like $400 down from like the old all-time high, right? $500 from the old all-time high. So it's like it's one of those things where with ETH anyway, it's just like, when it's not pumping, everyone's like so bearish, but until it's pumping, even if it is just sideways. Why do you think people are just so negative with sideways? Are we just tired of sideways at this point?
Yeah, I think people are tired of sideways because we didn't really have that first kind of preview of alt season. Every other bull run year you've had that, right? You've had at least like a spring thrust up. Maybe we weren't hitting some crazy like new all-time highs across the board, but you would get some sort of liquidity events that would kind of pump the alt markets a little bit. And then leading up to Q4 of that year, where it is typically the blow off the top. Now 2017 had that too a little bit, not as aggressive as 2021. 2021, obviously there was two peaks. There was the peak in April and there was the peak in November. In 2017, there was like a nice kind of market kind of push up in the spring, but then really that later that year in early 2018 is whenever we saw the really aggressive push up. So this year it's just been the main Bitcoin, Ethereum, and some of these strong blue chips that have seen most of the benefit, with lately a little bit of these newer things like Aster. Then you have it was a XPL, and then some of these other ones starting to see some energy. So I do expect Q4 to be very aggressive to the upside.
Yeah, 100%. And if Bitcoin does top in December, and then altcoins top in the late January, early February, I mean, that's a repeat of 2017, right? Like we're all saying like this cycle's different, but in reality, this cycle could be just identical to what we've seen in 2017. Do you agree?
The only difference I think is like some of the other alts, not other than like just the I guess the ones that are everybody knows about, right? Like the traditional blue chips, they have benefited some, but like in 2017, I think it went a little bit further earlier in the year. Now it wasn't blow off the top earlier in the year, but to finish the year it was. So I would say it's more close to 2017 than 2021 for sure. Is what I'm expecting.
From my understanding, I wasn't around back then, but like I assumed that it was just Bitcoin and Ethereum that was only ETH really didn't really start taking off until November, December, right? And now being in October and potential all-time high again in November, I mean that's pretty much identical. I mean XRP didn't really reach all-time high in 2017 until like I think February. So I don't think anything really started moving until Bitcoin hit that 18,000.
Well, I mean, it was pretty much up only for Ethereum starting in April of 2017.
I mean, you could say that this year too, though.
Yeah, true. But so I'm saying starting from April of 2017, but that was just because there was a little break between March and April. But before that, it was up only since December of 2016. So if you look at the chart for Ethereum, you can see right here, this is the daily chart. You can see right here, December 2016, it went up with a break and then up aggressively.
Yeah, that's very aggressive.
You get what I'm saying? So like this was nothing like what we experienced this year. For us this year, we saw something happen in November, and early December maybe, but then it was like pretty much like down only at that point. Right now, I don't know what the heck this was. This is God. Look at this candle wicking on this. This was a bloody day on June 20th. Man, that one must have been stressful. But you get what I'm saying though. There was this rise up, and then it got to June, and then went sideways a bit, and then started to thrust up in Q4 to kind of like to your point, where we got to January 6 is whenever it peaked. Right. So for this bull run. So that's why I say it was a little different. But probably more similar to that than 2021, because 2021 was an aggressive pull up in April, and then another one in November.
Yeah, man, 100%. All right, let's get into our first topic today. Uptober begins early? Question mark. Fear and greed shifts. Swift's blockchain ledger. It's funny that they keep saying ledger. They refuse to say the word blockchain. BTC destroys the S&P. Let's get in the first part of that. We do have everything running. It was funny this morning when I first popped in here and read, because you set the show and read Uptober. I looked at my trading view and everything was red. Everything is now green. Everything is now green. Which is funny, but you were going off the crypto bubbles. I was going off a trading view, and it does feel like we are the beginning stages of Uptober. And does this continue though? Is this a fake out, or do you think that we continue this up until maybe the entire month of October?
Well, I mean, October 1st is Wednesday, right? So if it is a fake out, it doesn't necessarily mean like just because on paper that October has started that it's automatically up, right? There could be some back and forth. Could be a short-term fake out to where it pulls back tomorrow, and then like the first couple of days of October is just kind of seems like it's not super great, and then we start to see that liquidity flow back in. But like I have learned from the past month and a half to take this day by day whenever it's like being extremely volatile both ways. So that's what I'm doing for right now. Right now it looks really strong on pretty much every time frame, which today's just been really aggressive. But the good sign is that like even the daily chart is really starting to come out of that sell pressure. So if we do get in another aggressive day, like the rest of today is good, and then tomorrow is bullish again, then I think we do finish the week that way, because you'll take us out of the sell pressure on the daily for Bitcoin, and I think Ethereum will follow that as well.
Yeah, man, 100%. Fear and greed shifts. So the fear and greed that shift though was the Bitcoin fear and greed. The crypto one probably shifting now, but we don't really get that data until later tonight. What do you think though? Do you think that people are starting to at least get neutral again from fear that we saw last week? I mean, you're seeing it in the price action, but I'm not really seeing anything on X like from people actually being bullish.
Yeah, except for Benjamin Cowen, right? Like he's been kind of calling the Bitcoin restarting the cycle again, and he's saying that like it seems like the dominance has bottomed. I think he had a tweet late last night or early this morning about that, and I'm not betting against him, while he's on this hot streak, right? So I think there are some people that are expecting Bitcoin to kind of start this resurgence for the overall market, and that's what I'm expecting as well, right? So that's what's going to kick Uptober off, in my opinion. So what does that look like? We're sitting at like 114 right now. I think that looks like getting back to 120, obviously, and then really kind of teasing and flirting with the idea of hitting a new all-time high. When does that look like it would happen in October? I think ideally you want that to happen kind of earlier, so that the alts can kind of benefit from that maybe in mid to later October, right? But we'll see how it plays out, because there's been a lot of forecasts, if you go back from early this year, late last year, about Bitcoin going to 200, 250, and I think some people have kind of tame that forecast down a little bit and saying more in the lines of 150 to 165. I'm more in that camp, 150 to 165, but if it goes higher than that, then great. And so yeah, for that to happen, we need to see a good little push up at least in October, and if it stalls a little bit, then there'll probably be another aggressive push up maybe in December.
Yeah, 100%. And to your point, Benjamin Cowen says, I think Bitcoin's dominance is going to explode higher. Fade the alt season callers again, as liquidity shall return to the king. I mean, you're right. He's been somebody who's been on point until he's wrong. We've seen that, last cycle. Benjamin Cowen was completely right until, I want to say about February of 2021. And then he was wrong for an entire year before he was right for about 4 years now. So he does have, or maybe he learned his lesson, right? So he is telling people like straight up, like, I do think there's going to be an alt season, but I don't think it's going to be until we get quantitative easing. And he's a big, component of, alt season is only when quantitative easing. And he's right. He's like, we don't have that yet. Rates are still super high to the comparison of where they were in 2021. And he's just kind of thinking that you're going to see a lot of sell down happening from a lot of these alts going back into Bitcoin. But we're not seeing that today. We're seeing Bitcoin do great, but we're not seeing a sell down from the alts. So could he be wrong on that aspect?
Well, I mean, I think sustained like risk on environment, he is right, going to quantitative easing, and the rate cut cycle has started already and stuff like that. But he might be wrong on some of the major, the ones that are getting a lot of attention, right? Like the Asters, the XPLs, like something like Merlin, something like Hemi, maybe BitLayer, maybe like those are more of the risk curve because they are newer. But then also you got like something that's big like Aster, right? So I think those type of opportunities can thrive because they have been thriving, the past week or so. And so the really risk on stuff to where, it's going to be much easier to get into a new environment, something like Plasma recently, but then sustained for like a full month or something like that. You know what I mean? That type of environment I think is going to require quantitative easing and just risk on environment, right? Because that's contagious too. You have to remember that, like, if institutions get a little risky, that could be contagious a little bit down to retail, and then bring retail back because it'll pump up some of these major coins, and then retail always FOMOs, and so that's the environment that creates that situation.
Yeah, 100%. So the next part of that would be Swift to add blockchain-based ledger to its infrastructure stack in a groundbreaking move to accelerate scale benefits of digital finance across more than 200 countries and territories worldwide. A group of more than 30 bankers and financial institutions globally are working with Swift to help design and test the ledger. It's not confirmed yet, but the hints at EVM capable execution environment in the scope, or at least one plausible path. Let me run through the evidence. Okay, that's something else. But yeah, so basically, Swift is building blockchain infrastructure, but they're saying that like they're not going to have a blockchain itself, but they will be using a centralized version of what we call blockchain technology. They're calling ledger technology. And you do have the guys like JP Morgan who've said all along that they're not big fans of Bitcoin, but they're very bullish on blockchain technology. And it feels like Swift here is taking that route and basically saying we're just instead of using Web 2 rails, we're going with the Web 3 rails, but this is not a blockchain. This is a ledger that we're using behind the scenes.
Yeah, I mean, 30 plus banks are going to be using Consensys, which is the partner in this, right? I think Consensys, first of all, they're going to be huge in the future, right? I mean, they have a user base that's 30 million plus with MetaMask. They have a media outlet, you know what I mean? Now they're partnering with Swift, which there's going to be a lot of people on the other side of that says, I hate this, absolutely hate this. Like Swift is kind of everything we wanted to get away from. But, there's trillions of dollars being utilized in that, daily. They're not just going to go away. They have a lot of financial backing, right? So this is going to be interesting to see how this plays out and which players benefit from this, right? We know that Consensys as a company is benefiting, but will there be any like protocols that are going to be kind of interjected with this? We know, and I know you'll hit on it later, but like something like Chainlink or like Pyth as an oracle, who's going to be the service providers? Because you want this kind of business if you're a fee-based revenue generating type of business. So yeah, this is kind of the start of the world coming together with crypto, and we're seeing it live in action.
Is Swift worried? Because right now with Tether Plasma coming out, I'm going to be able to use their debit card and have access to my USDT in my wallet for any payment whatsoever, kind of leaving the Swift network for the first time with the debit card, right? So And there is no Swift behind that. That is just your debit card have access to your wallet. When you swipe it, you're basically signing a transaction. That transaction is sending that tether or whatever you choose to be spending to the retailer. That goes in through they just receive it as cash, right? They'll receive it as USDC and stuff like that. So is that using the Swift rails in the back end, do you think?
I'm not quite sure, honestly, in terms of like the credit card environment and if they've used Swift before, right? But we know that they're huge infrastructure for sending, finance across 200 countries, right? But I think more than anything, um, it's more about like them being afraid that they're going to lose leverage and power because the United States, the largest consumer market in the world, utilize Swift kind of, I hate to say it, but like as a weapon. They weaponized it in a sense, right? Whenever they put sanctions on different countries, Swift is a part of that. So Swift was probably complying with the largest consumer network in the world because why? They benefit from that, right? So now what does that look like? How do you weaponize finance now in this global warfare, right? Like, because let's not get it twisted. A lot of these digital asset companies are going to be centralized. So that's weaponization of finance is still going to happen. We know that the EU is still highly focused on CBDC, and there's a reason why they want to do it. Is because they can control exactly what you're spending your money on. And if you've been a bad boy, then you might not be able to spend your money, which is the worst case scenario that we look at, right? And so, I think I gave you a long answer for that, but I do think Swift is more nervous about not being the dominant service provider to weaponize finance.
Yeah, I personally think they're done. I think Swift will no longer be the leader going into the next couple years because of the fact that MetaMask now has a debit card. You're seeing Plasma with a debit card. You're going to be able to spend right from your wallets. But I mean, I think to your point, the government might try to put a hold on that or a stop to that eventually because you're not going to need KYC to spend your dollars no more, right? There's no way to identify me from my purchases anymore, and that's what they want. They want full control. They want to see what I'm spending because that obviously, at the end of the day, Swift sells that data to these companies, right? That's a big part of their revenue is they sell. Hey, this guy Shizzy, 37 years old, he buys this, and that, and then they can advertise to that type of person who's buying that stuff with the new products, and that's probably might go away as well once you're using more stable coins for more purchases, right? Because there's no identity that goes back to that, so they can't sell that data. That's a loss of revenue potentially for them.
Yeah. I mean, I do feel like there's going to be ways for these blockchain companies to be able to maybe not associate it down to the individual's like personal information, but maybe they do, who knows? But I think they'll be able to kind of identify like behaviors and stuff from IP addresses. Maybe they're able to pinpoint like the age and sex or something.
baby.
Yeah, for sure. But yeah, I mean, it changes all types of like industries now. And so yeah, you have a good point with that. Our industries, the digital kind of data industries is going to be changing.
100%. All right, let's jump into some Binance and some Aster stuff. So CZ, he doesn't tweet a lot. He's never really pumped like the Binance Smart Chain. He might have done it in the very early days. I wasn't around back then, but this is really weird for CZ. So he's like, at the risk of stating the obvious, Aster's per trade fees are lower, cheaper for users, lower fees, higher volume. He came out yesterday and said that Aster is not a threat to Hyperliquid, but it is a threat to Binance. So why start a company? Why start a chain that is a threat to Binance? And then he goes into Binance founder CZ reposted on X, confirming that several ex-Binance employees are a part of the PerpDex Aster team that YZI Labs holds a minority stake in. So he's basically saying that, hey, Binance doesn't own Aster. CZ's Binance Labs or YZI Labs has a very minimum stake in Aster. So why do you think he's so bullish on trying to push Aster now, if it is a threat to what he's already built with Binance?
Well, I don't know if this is a psyop or not. I mean, the guy's really smart, right? And so if it's true and he doesn't really have any more affiliation with Binance in the sense of like not being able to do anything operational there, and maybe he feels like he's lost so much power there, and to him this is more of a pride thing, and it's like he wants to build up, Aster and make it like the king of perps, and take that away from a centralized company that he built, right? And so I don't know. I would need to like research a little bit further, but it makes for some interesting drama on the timeline. Probably when we need it to, honestly, because it was getting really stale out there for a bit. Other than tokens, like Aster getting a lot of the spotlight. But this is interesting, to see like what is going to be his involvement with actual Binance itself in the future. Is there kind of like a washing of hands from each other? Is this like he's saying it's YZ Labs, which is his thing, not Binance, and it's almost kind of like we took the best of like what made Binance, like the ex Binance employees that helped it become successful, and now we're going to do the same thing for Aster. But I don't know, like how much of what CZ says do you believe is genuine? And I mean, because he looks like an honest guy, but he also just did serve 4 years or I don't know if it was 4 full years, but he served a long time in jail in the US.
I think it was less than 2. I think it was less than a year,
Okay.
actually. It wasn't very long at all. It was actually 1 year ago from yesterday, was the day he got out of that prison, and he said out of the US. That's what he said. Instead of saying out of prison, he said out of the US. But yeah, it's 1 day from yesterday. So one of the rumors that are swirling is that Aster's doing an airdrop, right? And that airdrop is the kind of the reasons why it is leading all perp dexes by billions and billions of dollars. Could you actually show that real quick? So basically, what people are doing, they're just farming volume, because that is kind of the key feature of perp dexes on how they are able to give an airdrop. They don't really go by your P&L or anything like that. They really just go by the amount of volume that you've done. And one of the rumors is that after the airdrop, Binance itself potentially could come in and buy up all the tokens that people sell or dump going forward, and potentially Binance kind of buying Aster, and then Aster being the perp dex of Binance, and potentially moving Aster inside of Binance to potentially users. So when you're using it, when you're using Binance, you're actually just using Aster in the back end.
Yeah. Dude, is that $1 trillion is 1,000 billion, right?
Yeah.
They almost did $1 trillion in 30-day volume. That's crazy. Is that right though? Am I right? Yeah. So anyways,
Yeah.
the past 24 hours in total perps volume for the entire industry was 109 billion, which is absolutely nuts in itself. But then you go down here and you see that Aster has done 83.5 billion in 24-hour volume. And second place comes in Lighter, which is so wild because like this hasn't even been really talked about much, right? And then you have Hyperliquid coming in that third, which again, I think Jeff probably feels very good about just being out of the limelight for right now. But if you look at this, there has to be a redirection of volume coming from Binance or something. I mean, there's got to be, right? And whether they plugged Aster into the platform and they're taking the trades like maybe from like Binance on the front end, and they could put a little note in there saying like your trades are on chain or whatever. And I mean, I just don't know how to explain this. Like what other way to explain that other than they're redirecting the Binance volume to Aster?
Do you think that's a good idea for Binance to do? Do you think it's a good idea for Binance to get out of the Web 2 centralized model and become a fully on-chain, company?
I think there's benefits to both, right? Obviously, like if you do kind of do that, right, then there is a sense of kind of like losing some liability, right? But
A
at
lot
the
of
same,
liability.
yeah, a lot of liability, but then you're gonna have the regulators making sure that like you are operating like an actual decentralized entity, right? And I think that's where it gets a little murky in my opinion, because like as of right now, I think a lot of these protocols they feel comfortable because the SEC has been pretty relaxed, and whenever they do kind of slap the risk or whatever. They just like fix this. This is what you got to do. You got to launch a token so you can have governance, or you got to do this and that, right? But also, you know, are they comfortable with doing governance, and are they going to do it legitimately? You know, a lot of people feel like BNB chain is centralized in a sense because of like all the validators being ran by like Binance, you know, Binance's team that does that or whatever, right? But at the end of the day, you know, it seems like decentralized exchanges are having some sort of business plan to have a strong on-chain presence. You know, BNB already had that, but now they're doing it with the perps. But you see Kraken having the Ink chain, and they haven't done a perps thing on chain yet, but like maybe they do. So
Yeah.
I don't know.
Well, I think murky is a bad word for it, because if let's just say they come in and buy up all the Aster tokens, right? And then they have, let's just say 51% of the supply of Aster, and they're able to make all the governance decisions. That's still a decentralized mechanism, right? At the end of the day, because you can come in and you can come in and buy the tokens, because there's always going to be liquidity in the markets for you to do that. So for me, I think that kind of, if they split Aster, let's just say they have 3 or 4 different wallets, and they say it's 3 or 4 different entities that own, you know, 51% of the Aster token, but they have full control. And now they discontinue the Binance exchange. They bring in the Aster protocol, which is technically a third-party decentralized vehicle. Now they don't have any, you know, and then they're getting the fees because you're staking your Aster and you're earning fees for or that. So Binance is back to getting all the fees that it potentially once had, and potentially more fees, because now they're no longer competing with decentralized exchanges, who obviously, if you use Coinbase, you know that they rip you off now. But you know, now they potentially get a lot of fees from Aster. I don't know, man. I think this is almost genius.
Yeah.
And Binance becomes a decentralized vehicle. So all they are is a website, a decentralized website that allows you to use.
Well,
decentralized
I still
vehicles.
think that I still think that they will have their spot business there, right? And then if they do any custody
Well,
stuff,
Aster has spot, so why not just give that to Aster?
maybe we'll see if that plays out. But like, where I think you could be right about the genius statement is the fact that, like, I think centralized exchanges, even though they have this awareness that they should have some on-chain presence, they're so focused on still like their centralized business as well. But like with this approach, you kill 2 birds with 1 stone. You come into the on-chain game and dominate and say, I'm king over here, while slowly but surely taking a lot of the volume away from your centralized competition as well for perps, right? Because if you're known as the perps place and you're pulling in that much volume, and then like they already did their airdrop, right? But they might do multiple.
They're doing another one. They're doing a real big one.
Yeah. Okay, so there you go. Then you're going to attract some of these users to come off the centralized exchange and go into a platform like this. I don't know if that's the plan, but if that plan works the way I stated, maybe I don't understand a part of like the centralized perps game, then this could be a genius move, like you said.
Dude, I think this is the greatest thing that's ever happened to crypto. I think Binance coming fully on chain and using Aster as that vehicle, potentially it solves all the issues. Like, you can no longer come at Binance for doing anything malicious, because they have everything on chain. Like, there's no, you know what I mean? And if you want to get listed on Aster in the future, you got to basically give an airdrop to BNB stakers. That's kind of what they're doing right now. If you want to get listed on a Binance exchange, you have to give an airdrop to BNB stakers. That's why XPL is being airdropped to Binance stakers and stuff like that. Potentially Aster stakers as well. So the Aster token, dude, I mean, it could honestly be the Binance token, which shows me that it is way undervalued in the sense of what could happen in the next 6 to 12 months, with Binance potentially discontinuing at least the perps part of it, and putting that fully on chain, to where you're still using Binance's front end, but everything in the back end is being routed through Aster. And you might be seeing that right now, like your point. I mean, there's no way to do this much volume, $80 billion in volume, without the help of Binance, in my opinion.
Yeah, no, I mean, I don't know how any other way to explain that. But then it kind of goes against the post of him kind of being like, I took all the ex Binance people and I'm creating this big amazing thing. But I mean, again, I don't know how to explain the 80 billion that they're doing, 83 billion that they're doing in daily volume. Other than, they have big whales in that ecosystem, and but that's just so much of a like dramatic difference between the first place and second place volume. And like 7 billion was good. Like that's good for like before Aster came into the picture, right? So
100%. We'll see what happens with that, but I just think it's almost genius. It's like you can't beat Hyperliquid. Let's join them. And not only let's join them,
they are beating them though.
well, I'm just saying, like at the time,
At first, yeah.
like it's like because Hyperliquid might take the crown back once the airdrop is done, right? Volume wise, but how do you keep that going? Well, you route the transactions through that, right? So I don't know. I think it's almost genius. But we'll move along though. FTX to distribute 5 billion into tomorrow. FTX will begin its first major creditor payout, over 5 billion in stablecoins coming online tomorrow morning. Do you think people are front running in this? I think almost people are kind of saying it's Q4. I'm getting a whole bunch of stablecoins tomorrow. It's time to play. But we've also seen this be something that we've seen in June of 2024. We also seen this be in November of 2024, and nothing really really happened at that time. But it is Q4 this time. Do you see a big boom tomorrow after some of these people are finally distributed their billions and billions of dollars here?
I mean, it's perfect timing for it to actually take it into effect to be like a liquidity event for getting into a more risk-on environment, right? Like previously, when we would hear these type of announcements in 2024, they wouldn't do too much, right? They would just be more like people would have anticipation that they would and speculate that they would, but they wouldn't really move the needle very much because people didn't have places to put them. You know what I mean? And so now people are going to be, speculating on, some of these new ecosystems, maybe some of the older ones as well, that are coming up, right? We just had Plasma. There was some good speculation. Obviously, there was an airdrop with that as well. People made some good money on that. And then you have Spark in the Bitcoin ecosystem. That might be a little event there that does well. But there's places to kind of park these stable coins and stuff or whatever they're going to get. And heading into Q4. So the timing couldn't be any better in my opinion. Maybe like in the middle of October would be the best timing if you want to, plan it perfectly, but you can't plan everything perfectly. So I think this timing is pretty darn good heading into Q4.
Yeah, 100%. And like reading further into this, the people who wanted the reimbursement done to their bank accounts already received it, right? They've already received it in their Kraken accounts. This is different in the sense of this will still go to Kraken, but everyone they want to stay on chain. Everyone who's getting these stablecoins tomorrow, they have chosen to get stablecoins rather than reimbursement to their bank accounts through Kraken. Do you think that changes anything with these people actually being potentially crypto natives and they want it in stablecoin so they can withdraw it to on chain?
Of course. Yeah, because there's a reason why they want it on chain and not in their accounts, because they want to possibly be able to utilize it, in my opinion, and have that liquidity available to be able to get into opportunities, right? Again, they probably knew that they would be getting this around this time, right? So they're like, oh, that's perfect, heading into the last quarter of the year. That's typically when it all happens. I've been kind of beating that drum for even over a year. I feel like, I said, well, the bull run year Q4 is always kind of when things really take place. And so, yeah, I mean, I think that they're going to be utilizing this if there's opportunities. And I really think that there will be, because there's going to be players that know that this type of stuff is happening and that we're going into a more risk on environment. So you'll start to see more releases, I think, too, and more people get more aggressive. So like, I'm just going to use the Bitcoin ecosystem as an example. I know that they've been kind of down, but like this will probably motivate people to try to pump BRC20s or something like that. They'll have motivation. At least if it works or not, that's besides the point. They'll be like, okay, this is the quarter. Let's see if we can get some momentum going, right? Maybe Sonic has that same situation, right? Because they've been kind of dormant for a while, right? And so Sui's another one. So we're gonna see which ecosystems try to speculate that hey, look, there's liquidity coming in this last quarter of this year. This is where people try to make their money. Let's make sure that we have something exciting to give them.
Yeah, 100%. 100%. I agree. And right now, though, looking at the Bitcoin ecosystem, I think the only ecosystem that's down on the day. ORD's down 2%, dogs flat. A lot of the runes are still down. I don't know, man. I'm definitely losing faith in the Bitcoin ecosystem for sure. I just don't think this year anyway is going to be as bullish as some of the other sectors. And I think,
Well,
you know,
the
the
L2s seem to have some life.
I just mean L1. I mean
Okay.
L1 period. The Bitcoin layer 1 ecosystem. I just feel like, you know, if you are all in over there still, I think it's time to make some changes to your portfolio so you don't miss out on this board run, because I mean you might miss out on the first couple three months of this. So just public service announcement there. But let's jump into today's crypto fear and greed here. So it doesn't feel right. Like, so last week, and this is the crypto fear and greed. This is not the Bitcoin. The Bitcoin fear and greed we know is back in the 50s, but the crypto fear and greed, it's showing last week was a 47. Yesterday was a 34, which is weird. And then, yes, where do you think we are today? We're a little higher than that 34, way below that 47 is my hint for you.
37?
Pretty much. We're sitting around 39. I can't show it right now, but it's one of those things where it doesn't feel right. Like we got to find a better fear and greed. That's why when you hit me with the Bitcoin one this morning, I was like, I need a better one, because this takes place around, you know, I want to say about 8-9 hours ago. So that's sitting there, you know, at 8 p.m. Eastern time. Actually, no, it's more than that. It's about almost 14 hours ago. So it's one of those things where I don't even know if this is correct, but do you feel like we should be in fear for the crypto side of it, or do you think this is like the last time we potentially will ever see fear?
So I do think it has to do more with like where it ended, but we got thrown off because of the Bitcoin fear and greed. That's what happened. I think the other ones are the same scores. I think they do them like at the same time for the crypto ones. But yeah, I expect us to have a pretty decent jump this week. I don't know if it's going to happen for today's score, but maybe we get back into the 40s in today. But again, there will be a time whenever the risk on we'll know whenever like we're in that risk on environment, and then I think we won't see those numbers, you know, until probably next year, right? So
yeah, makes sense. All right, let's jump into the next thing here, which is the Bitcoin price action and crypto bubbles, brought to you guys by the great people at Artura.finance. Artura, their token is now live on the Base chain. Base chain right now is one of the top trading chains. So they chose Base, so you can head over to Aerodrome right now and purchase the ARA token if you're as bullish them. And yeah, remember, they are a perp exchange. So what does that mean? A decentralized perp exchange are the top performers right now. Will Artura be that? I think so. I really do. I think that's going to be one of the biggest winners going into the next couple months. They are on Botonics. They are live. You can play right there right now. They will be bridging their token over to Botonics as well, but they wanted to start with liquidity pool on Base. These guys will be adding new assets very soon. They just posted on their Twitter asking everyone, hey, like, what do you want us to add next? And it does look like things like XPL and Aster are the tokens people want to trade, because that is winning by about 70% right now over there. So you definitely want to head over to their Twitter account and participate in that poll, because I think that is what they're going to be listening to. Because I can't wait for new assets to get on Artura, because right now you can just trade Bitcoin and Ethereum, but new assets are coming. These guys are very legit, so their token sale actually will allow them to do liquidity now. More liquidity in the markets means better trading for the people. So you definitely want to head over to Artura.finance today. And remember, they do have a competition going on right now. And if you get in first place, you can win $5,000 in USDT. And the other, second, third, and fourth place will also win. There's also a ARA token giveaway over there as well. So you definitely want to be over there and get your P&L up. So definitely be a part of Artura.finance today.
Absolutely. I can't wait till they add those assets, right? That's whenever that extra excitement's going to come in. But don't sleep on this competition. You got till October 2nd, which is the Thursday coming up here before it ends there. But before we get into this Bitcoin price action on the YouTube side, smash that like for us. We know that there's another event this week. It's been back-to-back Korea Blockchain Week last week, and then Token 2049. So a lot of our friends are over there. So safe travels to the people that are going over there. But on the YouTube side, make sure that you smash that like, subscribe to the channel, and turn your notifications on. And then share the space as much as you can, guys. We get as many people in here as possible. Same thing with Abstract, Rumble, Kick, and Twitch for you. All right, let's get in here for some price action. And I feel like we have officially reversed trend on the hour. Obviously, it's almost kind of like a inverse Bart Simpson here, which definitely looks good, man. It feels pretty good. We were we had that uptrend that went from like late August all the way to the 18th of September. So it wasn't like all of September was dead, but man, it really had felt like there wasn't very much like positive price action in between these huge drawdowns starting on the 18th of September, right? And I mean, like you can see, it's just different. It was just very aggressive to the downside there. But now it seems like that momentum has stopped, and we haven't had one of these situations in a long time as well, to where the MACD was exhausting on the buy side. At least on the sell side, we did have, and then it broke back open today. So that is definitely something good to see. Definitely good to see. Let's see what the support and resistance levels look like for this kind of early morning till right now kind of session that we're in right now. So let's see here. I got to get a new mouse. All right, let's see. Definitely want to squeeze that in there. All right, cool. So let's open this up and then bring this down like that. All right. Let's see what this looks like. Okay, right underneath the 114 price point there, you can see that the support is really strong. This is the highest volume area, and this is going back to 5 a.m., right? So you can see that support is winning this battle here at the right below 114. Right below that, too, it's caught by support, and it's even more aggressive on that level, the 113,880. So that's a good sign. And then below that's balanced with more support dominating all the way. You can go all the way down here, pretty much the whole way, except for right here is whenever it kind of switches back. So we're in a really good spot on the hour chart. Above that, support is in advantage as well. It does balance back out, but yeah. So this pretty much time frame since 5 a.m. has been all support. It's been like pretty much 90% support domination in these price point areas right here. So really good sign there for the hour chart. The 4-hour chart looks great as well. You can see that aggressive, confident buy pressure that we're seeing here on the 4-hour. If if it does pull back a little bit, we might get a little bit sideways and then maybe have some continuation. I think it's very important to pay attention once it does break off of just the up only and see like how long it goes sideways, because then we'll know if this is a little bit of a fake out, right? For the first week of October. But this looks good. Like I said, MACD looks really, really strong here. But it does look, this probably will be a little bit of a local top area, and then maybe we see some pullback a little bit. But this is the 4-hour chart, so you're not going to see too much. If it is a continuation to the upside, we won't see too much sideways, something like this, right? And then we see a continuation there. But we'll see if that is the case, right? Because if you look at here, you see this momentum indicator for the MACD. It's been like in that kind of positive price momentum, going back to Saturday, right? 3 a.m. Saturday. Even though this was sideways, it was really weak initially. Then it started to get hyper aggressive here. So we'll see if this kind of closes out this session, and then maybe a short sell session, and then we pop back up. We'll see what that looks like here in the next couple of days. The daily chart, though, which is what I was looking at here, this is probably reset, and it did. Let me bring this back to the daily. So the daily looks like it's a really good setup for Bitcoin here, especially if we finish today strong and get like a consecutive, green positive price action day, then we can actually pull out of the sell pressure that we've been in for Bitcoin here, right? And then actually get back into an uptrend, which I actually kind of expect that, right? Maybe we do kind of get back to where this previous top was, and then we go sideways until the second week of October or something like that. But if we get above this area right here, we could probably expect that uptrend to start, which would be great in my opinion, right? So that is Bitcoin for you guys on the hour, 4-hour, and daily. I am watching it very closely, though. I'm not trying to get ahead of myself because I did that like the last 2-3 weeks, and that was definitely tough to do. I was believing in the indicators a little bit more and probably should have got a little bit deeper into, liquidity, liquidation levels and stuff like that. But Ethereum here, I guess I'll start backwards. So the daily is very similar situation. It's a decent setup here to Bitcoin, right? So if we do get a finish, just decent finish of today and maybe a consecutive positive price action day tomorrow, we can come out of this. This is a little bit behind Bitcoin, though. Bitcoin's a little bit closer to where you can see the fast line was trying to cross over the slow line, which is a technical, like, I guess, sign that we have a flipped momentum, and we have a little bit more of a separation gap here. But that's makes sense. It's kind of tailing Bitcoin right now. So that's for the daily. Let's take a look here on the hourly for the next 2, 4, 6, 8 hours. What Ethereum looks like here. So okay, this is a little worrisome here. You can see that we didn't really get too much of the positive price momentum here. It actually stalled pretty quickly, right? So this is something to keep your eye on for the next, I would say, 3 hours. Do we go sideways here and then maybe open this back up like Bitcoin did on the hour chart? You saw that happen. Bitcoin looked like it got out of the buy pressure only to get aggressive again and open that back up. Ethereum's a little different. It didn't get really aggressive to the upside yet. So it's definitely tailing it. So I would definitely, just observe Ethereum on the hour chart for the next 2 to 4 hours. See if we can get, aggressive to the upside and open this back up. If not, and, we could see this kind of go back into sell pressure. So something to keep your eye on. So that's Bitcoin, Ethereum for you guys. The crypto bubbles. Let's take a look at the top 100 here. Looking pretty green to me. You can see about 95 to 5% green for the most part, but the green is around the 3 to 5% on average. Seeing Ethereum at almost 3.5%, that's a good sign for sure. Hex up almost 10% there. Pump looked pretty good. I saw a lot of people talking about this on the timeline. Looks like those buybacks are kicking in. They're doing them consistently. So Pump has pulled up 8% there. XPL, no shocker here. XPL was kind of in the spotlight, the past 4 or 5 days, and there was a big run up. So this is just people taking profit. You see this FF token. I'm not too sure what this is. Falcon Finance. Are you familiar with that? It has pulled back 45% there.
No,
so
I haven't heard
I'm
of
sure
that.
I'm sure there was a big run up or something to pull that back. But some of the other notables you see, like Cardano, Doge, near the some of the OGs in the space have been pulling up around 3%. Aerodrome up 4.4%. Pith up 2.4%. Sui up 3%. So yeah, most everything's between 3 and 5% on the pull up there. Let's look at the top 200. Always good to see Merle here up about 18%. So they are in the top 200, guys, consistently. That's a good sign. We're going to have Jeff on here in about 8 minutes as well. You got Super up 48.6%. Some stuff that pulled back. Cato, part of that Social 5 pulled back 4% there. You got B, one of the larger meme coins in the BSC, Binance Smart Chain ecosystem, down about 7%. But yeah, most things are about 3 to 5% on the pull up here as well. So that is Bitcoin, Ethereum, and crypto bubbles for you guys.
Yep. Great job, man. As always, let's jump over to the next segment, which is roll call. Every day we take the first comment of the day and we put it on a spreadsheet. And today, the first comment is the legend himself, ASAP Benji. Congratulations, you, my friend. I think you have win number 17. I will double check on that when I get back to my house. But I appreciate you always being here and being that number one comment almost every single day. Appreciate you, my friend. Lucky Lukey says GM. Congrats, Benji. Mats is here. Shout the Mats every single day. Appreciate you, my friend. Myself says Swift announced distributed ledger technology 10 years ago. It's the same stories, different cycle. So yeah, I agree. I wasn't here 10 years ago, but maybe they weren't, maybe it wasn't ready as it is today. I don't know. Myself says after cycle, 1 million equals 11.5. 1 million seconds equals 11.5 days. Not really sure what that means. 1 trillion is 32,000 years.
Yeah, I think it was just trying to make a point about like the impact of how much 1 trillion actually is, right? It's crazy.
Chief Axel, shout out to you, my friend. He's a GM. ORTK Trench Kitty, shout out to you, my friend. Cash Cats is here, the legend himself. We got Patty Poo, the Bitcoin machine. Webdro says 20-week SMA being respected. Did you see that at all?
I can pull that indicator up, but I wonder if he's probably looking at the daily chart.
Yeah. Enrique Vargas says, hi, legends. Always great to listen to you and your brilliant analysis. Gran Abrazo. Appreciate you, my friend. And then finish it all off with the legend himself. We got Webdro in the building. Shout out to all you guys who make roll call each and every day. Very little in the comments today, guys. We need more comments in here for tomorrow. Please put a comment in here. It really, really helps the show. A lot of people are probably off today, it feels like, but I appreciate every single one of you guys who are hanging with us today. On this upward Monday. Maybe people, that's one of the things that's really weird. It's like even on X, you're just not seeing the comments yet. What do you think that takes?
I mean, people are traveling. People are still traveling.
Yeah.
A lot of you'd be shocked how many people attend these events, man. At Token 2049 last year, like the plane was completely full. They were like kind of crazy on the plane, actually. Kind of, like it seemed like they were drinking and partying and stuff. And then when you go to the events, like it's just there's a lot of participants from like the crypto space there. So not shocked. I think this week is going to be even more probably absent from last week. Korea Blockchain Week is getting bigger, but token is a bigger event in itself, in my opinion.
Gotcha. And that's this week. That's the 2nd and 3rd, which is Wednesday and Thursday and Friday.
Exactly. And people probably went into the weekend to get ready, had fun. Now they're going to all these side events. We've been to these side events before. They're every day, right? Kind of leading up to the actual event, and then a couple days after as well.
I honestly don't get it. Like, I honestly don't get why. Like these, I've been the two. I've been in the Nashville Bitcoin Conference and then NFT NYC, and I thought they were both terrible. Like, honestly, like it was okay. It was cool meeting people and stuff like that, but like I don't know. I'm just not that guy, man. I shot the Merlin's lucky finishing.
I think people like you get free food, you get free booze. They, what I mean, they're just kind of like, and then they want to mingle, and it's really that's what it's for. It's a networking event to where people just like drink, have fun, talk to each other. That's it.
Yeah, man. For sure. All right, so we got a few more minutes before our next sector, so we do have a little bit more news to kind of get into here. NickSzabo is posting again. He said fees protect the miners, but they don't provide enough de-incentives to protect the nodes. He said that this has always been a problem, of course, but increasing the op return allowance will likely make a problem worse. It also will increase legal risks. Legal risks means bigger op return fields could let users embed illegal content. Nodes must store and relay it, exposing operators to laws and hosting or distributing banned materials. For instance, let's just say something was leaked from a certain country and that was put into Bitcoin. He's worried that node runners could actually be arrested for these materials that people upload. And that's something with ordinals. I mean, you can do right now. And once you upload it in the ordinals, the indexer is always going to show it. But what do you think about one, NickSzabo, one of the 3 people I believe is Satoshi Nakamoto, including Al Finney and Adam Back. But what do you think about him finally coming back after so long, just to kind of provide his insight into why increasing the op return limit that Satoshi set is a mistake?
Yeah, I don't know what his incentive is for being kind of outspoken about this, right? But this has been a controversial topic, the past 6 months, right? And it's created new node software that Bitcoin knots, right, that miners can run if they choose, and it's gotten to 21%. But yeah, I think it also brings probably some excitement a little bit to the Bitcoin ecosystem, but also like timeline a little bit. Just the fact that he's kind of back in this kind of, he's been absent for so long. But it looks like he's a fundamentalist, right? If you're right, then he's like one of the people that is kind of behind Satoshi Nakamoto. But until he actually claims that, you can't really say Satoshi's saying this, right? And so he can't use that argument, and people can't say for 100% fact that Satoshi doesn't want this, unless he comes out and admits that he's part of the group that is Satoshi Nakamoto.
Well, NickSzabo created, BitGold, which was the very, the only problem BitGold had in the very beginning was that they had the double spending problem. They couldn't figure it out. So then they eventually used Adam Back's solution of, what we have today. And it's funny, though, that like NickSzabo, Adam Back, and Hal Finney were all working on this project. And then, boom, we have Bitcoin. But none of them want to take credit for it. I don't know. And then you do know that NickSzabo's writing is very similar to the way the white paper is written out. Some people even say that it's kind of a lot of the stuff is kind of taken right from the BitGold white paper, which was the original version of Bitcoin, but it had that double spending problem before blockchain technology was implemented. But yeah, it's just something really interesting. I truly believe that NickSzabo is one of the three people. I could be wrong, but I mean, with Hashcash, with Adam Back, with BitGold and NickSzabo, and with Hal Finney just being, the first person to get the first Bitcoin sent to him as a test, who are you going to send that first? Someone who helped you build it, right? I don't know. To me, but this kind of makes me really bearish on Bitcoin ordinals right now, or anything really running on Bitcoin L1, because when you have Satoshi coming out, potentially Satoshi coming out and saying, hey, we don't want to change this. What do you think?
Well, I think that's the risk that you put out there whenever you create a protocol and don't claim to be the founder. You know what I mean? And so Bitcoin could go in a direction that like Satoshi Nakamoto didn't want it to go into because of that. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I'm not saying that it is or anything, but like that won't happen on Ethereum, because like Ethereum's foundation, we know who started it, like with Vitalik, and they have consensus kind of control over it, right? With Bitcoin, it's like once you kind of let that animal grow up, it kind of takes a mind of its own, right? Like, and how it evolves.
Yeah, I just think it's different with ETH or proof of stake, because you're putting your money where your mouth is. So every change could really affect your money, right? So with Bitcoin, it's not like that. Bitcoin, they can make the changes, and then if something goes wrong, they can just pivot to AI and use that same hash power to continue making money. I don't know. I just feel like the way everything's kind of set up is they're not here to help Bitcoin. They're just here to kind of profit from it, the miners.
Yeah, I mean, that's obviously like a straight black and white business, right? I mean, there's probably some that get a little bit more involved than the other, but on average, they're there for the bottom line, right? At the end of the day, right? But there's going to always be miners, right? Because whether it's going to be huge institutions that are making minimal profit, they're always going to be speculating on what the future value of Bitcoin is, and they're willing to take that risk.
Yeah. So last question before we move over here is, do you think that NickSzabo's words here hold weight and potentially could stop this from getting through?
Possibly. But I think there's money that's involved with this too that people don't realize. There's money that wants to see development on Bitcoin. There's a lot of money on that side of the thing, right? So money creates these kind of situations, right? But I think that, look, I think Bitcoin is going to evolve. I think it like, in terms of, when I say evolve, I mean like continually have stuff added to it, whether that's a change, small change here or there. It's been the case since 2009. So
100%. All right, let's jump to our next segment here. Every Monday, we're lucky enough to have the great guys over at MerlinChain. MerlinChain is building something truly special. They're building, the AI framework for an amazing chain. They're building so much cool with if you guys go head over to beta.wizard.tech, you guys can now officially start messing around over there and doing stuff through LMM, which we both think that is a new version of wallets going forward. Instead of going to your Google Chrome and using crypto that way, you'll be using it through an AI LMM, just like what they have with the Wizard. It's very, very bullish in my opinion, but they don't stop there. These guys are the BitFi, in my opinion, the BitFi winners of this cycle, because they give you 16% on your Bitcoin over the last couple of months, which is absolutely insane. But not only that, you can earn insane APY for your Merl token, up to 40% with a 6-month lock, or 15% with a 7-day lock when you want to withdraw it. So that is up to you. But definitely head over to MerlinChain.io, and we're lucky enough to bring up the man himself, bring him up. Jeff, welcome back to OnChain Revolution. Thanks for being here, bro.
Oh, you're on mute.
Muted. Yeah, sorry. Busy day, busy week. Just got back from Korea, and token 2049 is here.
You don't sound excited about that.
Yeah, you should like see my schedule. Like from today, it's like every half an hour is a meeting or event. Just got back from event and really tired, so probably get to sleep as soon as possible. But yeah, many things to update. First, I think tomorrow we'll be having an announcement. That will be the major announcement for the first 3 months for the Bitcoin staking. I don't know if you guys remember, we started this about 3 months ago. Promised about 8 to 20% APR, and for the first stage, I think we're doing pretty well. I mean, we'll wait for the final number tomorrow, but definitely over 15% APR, which is crazy for Bitcoin, because we had several very successful farming projects in the past 3 months. Hemi was on Binance, about 1.5 billion valuation. Falcon stablecoin, we did that farming as well. I think they're going the Grand Slam as well, going on every exchange, Binance, Upbit, every one of them. So there are like several successful cases for the first season. That's why we are getting so high on APR. Definitely over 15%, but we'll be waiting for the final number tomorrow. So yeah, so whoever staked, lucky for you guys. And the return is fully Bitcoin. So you're not, just don't worry about getting a bunch of altcoins bullshit. It's all in Bitcoin. And the second stage will be live as well. I mean, there's National Day holiday in China, so we'll be having an announcement tomorrow, closing the staking tomorrow, and start to get your rewards a week later, probably October 8th, and start the second round as well for Bitcoin staking. So that's probably the biggest update here. Yeah, lots of great events in Korea. Market kind of tanked when we're having KPW, but it's getting better. You can see many altcoins going crazily. Like, you don't see this kind of altcoin stuff a year ago, half a year ago, 2 years ago. You see like the zero gravity, zero G, like 5-6 billion. You see the plasma, 1.5 billion. Aster, sorry, not 1.5, 15 billion. You see Aster, 20 billion. So yeah, you see all these new altcoins going crazy, and there's like more MBTC farming projects going live very soon as well. You see Momentum, they're having IDO on build on, I think. So yeah, these projects will be listed as well. So these rewards will go to the second phase of Bitcoin staking. So yeah, I think altcoins doing very well. I mean, if you look at Merl, from the past 3 months, it's going crazily. Today, I think it's going up like 20%. Even all your sets are going down. Merl is going up like 20%. Yeah, actually, the FDV for Merl is about 40 plus sets plus dog, and twice of that. So basically, all three tokens together and plus 2 and times 2 is the Merl FDV at this moment. So yeah, I think the altcoin is having its moment. Merl definitely is having its moment. We're going to have a huge news about the Wizard AI as well, but probably not going to announce it today. Yeah, that's like the basic update here. Yeah, sorry, I'm kind of being low energy at this moment just because I'm too tired. But yeah, do you guys?
No worries. Yeah, no worries. No worries at all. We won't keep you too long because we know that it's been crazy for you, and I'm sure token's going to be absolutely nuts. Heading into Q4 of the bull run year. Bitcoin L2 seem to have gotten a little bit of energy injected into them, right? You hear about Hemi and Binance, and of course Merl's is seeing a lot of interest in the kind of Bitcoin staking to earn Bitcoin with institutions as well. The AI product. all this stuff. But it seems like Bitcoin layer 1 assets, maybe not so much. What's your expectation for that sector? And do you think Bitcoin layer 2s kind of separate themselves a bit and lead the way Q4?
I mean, in my mind, I would say the reason, and I would say, fact. The reason I think is because for Bitcoin layer 1 assets, when the market is favoring this concept, like back in 2023 and 2024, beginning of 2024, there are lots of tension about Bitcoin layer 1 assets, and it just goes up, because it's fair launch, everybody gets a fair share, everybody's paying attention, everyone from Ethereum ecosystem is paying attention to ordinals. That's when the prices goes higher, everything was crazy. But when the temperature is getting down, the hype is getting low, it's very hard to save the layer 1 assets. I think Dog is a great example. Dog is doing very well. Like, I'm probably one of the biggest fan there about Dog. Many people criticize it. I'm still a big fan of Dog because Neil is shilling this every day, is trying his best to get all these partnerships and stuff. So you need somebody to do things when the market is down. That's what happened to other assets like Rats and Sats. They had communities, but when the market is going down, nobody cares. Everybody's like dumping their negative emotions into that community, but nobody's building anything. But when you look at all these Bitcoin layer 2 BTC 5, because there's a company, there's a team, there's a founder, there's co-founders, there's money raised from VC, and for the teams who actually care, I mean, there are many projects they just fade away. Look at, like, I don't want to trash anybody, but if you look at like Bismiley, their market cap is like 300K. So I mean, there are some projects who care, so they start they keep building, because this is about like being rational and being responsible for your reputation. So when the market is down, these teams keep working, spending monies, spending time, efforts, trying to make the project good again. And the meme communities are not doing that. So I think that's why you see the altcoins going up. All these projects backed by VC is doing well. And the sad fact is all these BTC related projects don't really care about ordinals and ruins anymore, including us. That's a very, very sad fact. I'm not saying I don't care anymore. I'm just saying it's very hard for us to do things about it. I got great ideas. I got DMs, messages every day. I personally look at all these DMs. People say save ordinals, save BRS20. Like, I mean, we try, but it's very hard. When the market is down, you're trying to do that. It's very hard. So I think probably in the near future, this won't change. In my opinion,
Yeah, I'm right there with you. I've been saying this for a little while now, over the last couple of months, that like I just don't think Bitcoin layer 1 assets are going to be very big going into Q4, maybe Q1 once liquidity is flowing. But you guys seem to be very forward looking. Like, you guys were developing the AI before a lot of other teams are. Right, you guys are doing the BitFi. So at these conferences and stuff, what are people more interested in? Are they interested in the AI part of Merlin, or are they interested in the Bitcoin DeFi side of Merlin?
I mean, of course, it's the BTC 5, 100%, because we have been building that for like over a year, right? So when you're building one stuff over a year, we are like I don't want to be like condescending, but actually, Merlin Bitcoin is like definitely top 3 right now in the market. Everybody tries to work with us, like including foundation like Solana Foundation, Sway Foundation, also including all these Nasdaq companies. So everybody's trying to work with us. So I think MBTC has built its reputation pretty well. That's why when you build something very hard, you get some results. But for AI, we just started building this year for for a few months. I believe if we keep building that for the next 12 months, we will get results. That's the hard part about being a builder. You have to build that for like over a year, and you get to see some results.
Yeah, the MBTC point that you just made, I feel like that was like when you guys started building the brand for that was one of the hardest times for Merlin, in my opinion, MerlinChain, because like you guys had a really good, leading up to the launch, and then 2024 was just there was no volume anywhere, right? So eventually you had to be like, okay, you know, this is the business model that we're going to go into at some point. And part of that business model was building the brand strength for MBTC. What made you like realize that that was going to be the maker? Because it seems like it was the make or break, and it obviously made it for you guys. And then were there other people that had that same strategy, or was it kind of like a hard to see strategy that you just saw?
I think several things. First, we know that BTC5 is going to make some profits. That's one of the major things, because you need to do something that can bring you continuously bring you profits, and that's one of the major reasons. And the second thing is we know how undervalued all these BTC5 solutions narratives are at that moment. I mean, now everybody's trying to get Bitcoin on their network, no matter you're like SVM or EVM or Move. So I know there's like lots of potential behind that. The third part I think is also very, very important, is we know we are capable of doing that, because when you see other teams, many teams have security issues, many teams have business develop problems, but we know our team members who are really good at BD, who are really good at tech and security. Security stuff. So when you look at other teams, some teams they're lack of some like abilities. So that makes us confident to push it through. And yeah, like today, if you see all this BTC5, you see like I think you guys cover like lots of BTC5 projects like last year. But who still has volume? Who still has TVL? Who still has Bitcoin in their bag? Very, very, very few. So if anybody is watching Merlin Monday for for the past year, you will see how hard and how like what we pivot, how we changed all of that. I think that's a very, very good example for building a project. You can see all these experiences and like problems, issues, and also success.
Yeah, man, like building a project is super hard, especially when your token price is connected. I mean, just to your point, you came on the show when Merl was 6 cents, and now you're coming on the show when Merl's 34 cents, right? What keeps you going? What keeps you from like not giving up, to just kind of keep pushing this Merl and this Bitcoin layer 2 narrative?
I mean, like every day, you think about giving up because it's just so damn hard. And when to be honest, when I personally like don't need to work hard to get money, sometimes you just wonder what you're doing. But I don't know. It's like sometimes it's like a responsibility. Sometimes you just trying to figure out like a problem. Like when we're doing BTC5, we try to figure out is BTC5 going to be huge in the future, and we bet yes. And we want to see that turn out. Like AI as well. We believe AI and crypto will be huge, and we just need to be the one who explores it. Who discovers it. So I think that's the exciting part. Yeah, of course.
Yeah, and look, we saw firsthand of like the stress of like someone like you, the founder of a project like MerlinChain, goes through like the ups and downs, and I can attest that like it hasn't been easy this entire time. Still not easy, but like you figured a way to kind of have that model, do the Bitcoin staking as well, and I think that's what separates the kind of the people that hit their goals and people that don't, honestly. And I'm not just saying that because like we've known you for a while and all that stuff. I've seen it. Like we could see the stress on your face with Merlin. Was people, community, they always want number go up, always. But if you can't do it, but you're saying we're building this though to make the future brighter, they won't understand it at the moment, but eventually they'll see why, right? And it seems like that's what you guys are doing. And I appreciate you. We appreciate you coming on the show. We know that you're super tired from traveling and all that stuff. I want to give you kind of last second here to say any words that you might have left off or anything to kind of before you leave.
Yeah, I think right now it's definitely a good time window for retail to enter the altcoin market. Not sharing any token, but I think like big changes happened in the small details, like the Aster. Very few people pay attention to Aster a couple of weeks ago. Like I'm going to say Aster is going to be as big as Hyperliquid in my mind, just because Binance is backing it. So if you saw that opportunity, if you actually try the product, trying to understand what's going on, you're making like lots of money, on the Aster thing. So I'm not shitting that token. I don't have any Aster in my bag at this moment. So definitely not shorting it. But just like big things happen, like when like the small thing, like when we had BRC20, sats. I think we talked about sats, in like one call before. That time the price was like super low, and I think just like big things happen, like in very 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 small events, small details, small things. So just pay attention. I think right now is a great time for altcoin hunting. If you understand what's going on in the market, try to bet on several altcoin. I think it's definitely going to be better, investment decisions than half a year ago. I'm not going to say it's going to be better, decision than investing in Bitcoin. Of course not. It's Bitcoin is no brainer. But yeah, I think right now, if you have time and research ability, trying to do some research on these altcoins, I think market will stay high for a couple of months. Who knows, what happens next? But yeah.
Absolutely amazing, Jeff. Thank you so much for your time, man. Really appreciate it. Get some rest, and I can't wait to hear your what's going on this week, next week, when next week's show. Thanks, man.
Yeah, next week definitely gonna be easier. After token 2049. Yeah, cool. See you guys next week.
All right. Thanks,
buddy.
Jeff.
Absolutely amazing. I love speaking to Jeff every single week, dude. We're lucky enough to talk to one of the founders of one of the potential biggest chains in crypto, and definitely got me bullish on Aster now. It looks like our guy in the chat is as well. Shout out to Stan. He says, "Wow, Aster just as big as Hyperliquid." I mean, that's only honestly what a 5x from where they're sitting now, right? Maybe a 7x from where they're sitting now. So I mean, that's definitely possible. But they are just beating them in volume by 8-9x. So that's definitely possible for sure. Myself says I'm buying Bitcoin tokens and ordinals I'm collecting for the long run. Just be careful, man. Just don't go all in on that stuff, because I don't want you to miss the first couple of months of something truly special, and then potentially right before the Bitcoin tokens run up, you're moving into something else. So it's one of those things where maybe diversifying a little bit, out of that and mindset. Not really like, I'm not talking about your bags. I just mean the mindset of being all in on something. Definitely diversify. And you're somebody who's probably diversified into leverage.
Yeah, exactly. Like when I read that comment, I figured myself is just doing it for collecting them. You know what I mean? And because I do think that that could be a really good payout down the road. You know what I mean? Like some of these early inscriptions and stuff like that. Look, I mean, when people first started buying Magic cards, like they weren't worth anything when he first started, right? And so people were like, "Why are you holding on to those?" Because they like it, So I think there's a part of ordinals that has that, right, to where people do like to collect them. I know I'm holding on to some rare sats and stuff like that, just in case one day and stuff like that. But yeah, to your point about Jeff, though, man, the audience that's listening in, I want you guys to know, like, we've known Jeff for a very, very long time. And talking about the ordinal days and those early days when, he just had a simple platform that was trying to change things in the Bitcoin ecosystem. There wasn't really too much of a business model at that point until he got into like BRC 420 and stuff like that. And so it's awesome to see him have that success, right? And because we have seen the stress from launching Merlin. There was a point where I'm sure he was just like, is this stress worth it? And everybody goes through that. I mean, like even the show, like people, like there's been up and down this year, but you put your best foot forward and you pick yourself up and you say, I'm in this for a reason. What is that reason? You remind yourself of your convictions and you just keep pushing forward.
100%. And I remember the show when Merle was 6 cents, he came on. And he never missed anything because of price action, right? He was just like, he's one of those guys where at 6 cents he's just as bullish on Merlin at 34 cents, and that's what gets me really bullish on Merlin, man, for sure. Not shilling it here, just letting you know, don't invest in tokens, invest in builders, and that's what I kind of see in Jeff. That's why I'm bullish on what they're building over there. So definitely check out MerlinChain.io, and really appreciate every single one of you guys, man. Rare sats is rare sats style.
I think he has a trigger for like whenever I say the phrase rare sats. And then like it automatically comments because he did that last week when I said rare sats. But
yeah, he did. That's funny. We gotta bring him out of the shell every day and say rare sats. Shout out to rare sats, Tom. Appreciate you, buddy. He's probably had the earpiece in at work, and then he runs over to his PC or something.
Like,
it's my time. It's my calling card. But appreciate you, my friend. Appreciate every single one of you guys, man. We have 313 people in here right now, 136 on Twitch. a bunch on YouTube, 124 on X, on OnChain X, and 42 on Trench Kitty X, and not to mention everyone on Kick, Abstract, Rumble, and Spotify later. Appreciate every single one of you guys. Thanks for holding it down with us today.
Absolutely. And for all you guys out in Singapore, be careful. Don't be dumb. They got different laws over there. I'll tell you that. It's a fun place and you can, enjoy yourself, good food, good drinks, all that stuff. But just be smart and network out there, right? That's the whole point. But that's where everybody is right now. But we still continue on and we push forward, just like Jeff, right? Like, he probably didn't feel like coming on today, but he did because he knew that it was important for his brand and everything. But we appreciate each and every one of you guys for showing up, man. If I'm being honest, a little vulnerable with myself or, with you guys, this has been a really tough year up and down for myself, right? But I do remind myself whenever I get into that mental space that, look, why are you here? What was the I want to grow as a person, but I also want to be educated and I want to help educate others, because we have been in the space for a while and we want to be able to help people and help ourselves as well. And so appreciate all you guys. Without you guys, we couldn't do this, but without our partners, we also couldn't do it. So if you could check them out, we would greatly appreciate it. Sats Terminal is the DEX aggregator swap for the entire Bitcoin ecosystem. If you're looking to swap for Bitcoin runes or alkanes, you got to do it at satsterminal.com. And very soon, Sparks. I'm excited about this new ecosystem. We talked about it there in terms of the, something that's hot in the Bitcoin ecosystem. Sparks could be that, right? So L2 has smart contracts. There's going to be launch pads from day one. Once they're live, there's going to be 3 of them. And you can get all of those, in unique contract tokens at satsterminal.com. So make sure you're taking advantage of that. Also, they have a borrowing and lending platform and product. We just talked about BTC borrowing and lending is really popular right now. So head over to satsterminal.com and you can click on that third link. It should say borrowing and lending. Try it out. You're going to earn Amber points too if you use the DEX, and Amber points are going to go towards a give back for early adopters. So make sure you visit satsterminal.com and take advantage today. And then Emblem Vault is the interoperability layer for the Bitcoin ecosystem. If you're looking to jump your ordinals to Ethereum, you can take a loan out against your Taproot Wizards right now on the Gandhi application, which is the largest Ethereum borrowing and lending platform. I'm sure they're going to open up to other collections within Gandhi. Also, Emblem's going to open up to other chains, right? Other Ethereum layer 2s and possibly Merlin. I know that's been in the conversation as well. But Solana is definitely on that roadmap. And speaking of Solana, they have the best AI product in Solana called agenthustle.ai. If you head over there, you can use the free version of Hustle, and you can ask questions like, hey, find me some solid plays in Solana. He'll bring back some options and why he thinks these are good options. Also, conditional trading. You can tell Hustle to set a limit buy or sell order for you. He'll take care of it for you if it hits those conditions. And if the free version does have some tool limitations, but there's a subscription tier service there. If you use the Hustle token, which is the single token for the Emblem ecosystem, powers the entire ecosystem, you get a discount if you use it for that subscription. And then last thing here is migrate.fund. It is the latest product out of the Emblem product suite. Migrate.fund is used to help builders migrate from a launchpad on Solana to a new launchpad, or just to Meteora, or where you can manage your own LP, because you can earn the most fees that way, right? So they allow you to be able to migrate in an easy way. They help you get the liquidity out. Obviously, you got to get your community on board. But if you have any questions, head over to migrate.fund and then contact the Emblem team. They'll walk you through it. For all that information, go to emblem.vision. And then Artura.finance is the perps and leverage DEX of the Bitcoin ecosystem. They still have their 10,000 USDC competition that's going until Wednesday. No, I think it's Thursday, October 2nd. First place gets 5,000 USDC, and then another 5,000 USDC is split amongst the next couple of winners. And then there also is a 20,000 ARA prize pool that's going to be split amongst the winners as well. And so make sure you head over there. You can trade Bitcoin and Ethereum right now. They're going to be adding new assets to their platform as well, so stay tuned for that. Also, when you use the platform, you'll earn points on the Botanics side, which is another Bitcoin layer 2, to where they're going to do the largest Bitcoin airdrop to their users there. So head over to Artura.finance today. And then Tokyo Wallet is the multi-chain smart wallet for Bitcoin, Cardano, and Sui. They're building for the best UI and UX for their users. It is a wallet that is an app you can get on the Apple iPhone store, the App Store, and the for the iPhone, and also for the Google Play Store. You can, if you have an Android, you can download it there. But they partnered with DEX aggregator swaps to make it possible to swap for Bitcoin runes, for Cardano tokens, and Sui tokens as well. Look out for other ecosystems that they'll be adding in the future. Head over to Tokyo.io to download the wallet today. And then MerlinChain, uniting Bitcoin's strength through the power of AI with their Wizard 2.0, we just went over with Jeff, as well as their Bitcoin DeFi, staking Bitcoin to earn more Bitcoin. You can earn on average 15%, 16% if you stake your Bitcoin. This current vault actually closes tomorrow. They're gonna have all the stats in for that, but then they'll open a new one, as you heard, so you can get involved with that second, the newest vault, once they announce when that will be open. Also, there's 2 vaults on the MerlinChain token side. There's the flexible, which is a day-to-day. You earn 15% APR. You can claim those rewards daily and compound interest those rewards if you'd like. It is a 7-day withdrawal period for their cooldown period for the day-to-day. And then there's the 6-month bonded lockup, which earns you 45% APR. MerlinChain's token is hot, so this could be, a good option for people that it makes sense for, right? It is locked up for 6 months, but it is 45% APR. Head over to merlinchain.io, and then you can check out the wizard there as well. If you're at token 2049, you want to link up with them, follow their X account so you can see what booth they are at there. And lastly is our guys from Ordinal Hive, Fonzie and his team, fastest Ordinal marketplace in the industry, ordinalhive.io. They have amazing trader tools as well, live mempool insights, all that great stuff there. Make sure you head over to ordinalhive.io to learn more. We thank you guys so much for checking out our partners.
Yep. Great job, man. As always, if you guys have a few more minutes, wouldn't mind checking out onchainrevolution.io. It's one of the best articles dating all the way back to 2023. If you know someone just entering the space, please send them our website. We really feel like help them get started and code up to where we are today. On top of that, we have the #1 VPN. That's Nord. You guys can get it right now for almost 70% off and get an extra 3 months, all on our website. And you guys can go to sites like Hyperliquid. You can go to sites like Mexi and actually use them because there is no KYC. They geo-block you because where you're at. But with a VPN, they can't do that. And you should use VPNs because, like earlier, me and Yago, we were talking about, how are they going to be able to trace you? Well, they're going to use your IP address, right? They're going to pinpoint everything to your IP. If you're using El Salvador or Italy or Switzerland as your geo-blocker, then there's nothing they can do, right? It's one of those things where I highly recommend everyone get a VPN. Nord's my personal favorite. You can get it through onchainrevolution.io. And on top of that, guys, we have the best merch. Check out all the best merch at onchainrevolution.io. Go there, click the merch button on the right-hand side, and then that'll take you right to our Shopify third party. We don't see your name, we don't see your address, but it gets shipped to you. I'm still waiting for a couple of my stuff to get here. I'm really excited for my hat. Hopefully my hat's is up to par. So definitely need a new hat. So appreciate you guys. And everyone checking out onchainrevolution.io. And remember, we are live Monday through Friday, 11 a.m. Eastern, 10 a.m. Central, 8 a.m. Pacific, and 3 p.m. UTC. Check us out all week, guys. And until tomorrow.
Peace.
OnChain Revolution roll call. Market recap. You not bullish enough. No. You're not bullish enough. No. Look at the price go. Bitcoin control. Why you still coping? Price action rolling. Don't fall for bear trap. Swapping indexes and putting it up in the sex. I can take profit right now. OnChain is where I be now. You can never look back. They don't want you to know. How did the market react? Fear and greed gotta adapt. Now we bridging the tokens and marching the network right now. You know how crazy we are. Nookies are savages now. They know how crazy we are. Chain abstraction, main attraction. OnChain Revolution.